Okay, we have another correction tonight for a member of the 9 8.5 7 6.5 club, or any high like the receptive skills, reading and listening, eights, nines, and writing is 6.5 or 6 even. Why? Well, I've been writing and talking about this for months, but we had another one tonight, and here's her most recent essay. Now, this is from January, and so it may not be representative of how she is writing here in July, but let's take a look. Okay, it's a "To what extent do you agree or disagree" essay, and the question is about people who go to live in other countries. Now, I'm going to analyze the question here real quick. Live means not visit, okay? Like live forever, immigrate. Should follow customs and traditions. Okay, well, what are these? And these are a lot of things. I mean, customs and traditions are everything from food and well, a lot. The new country. To what extent? All right. So when I'm thinking about this, what's the other side? Okay, right? It's a discussion and agree or disagree. If I disagree, why do I disagree? If I agree, okay. Or is it somewhere in between? If I were to answer this question, I would say that yes, they should follow the customs and traditions of the new country, because if they don't, certainly their children will, while at the same time preserving a few of the best. All right, so needless to say, what she said. So, okay, let's have a listen, shall we? Yes.
Needless to say, that every country in a world has its own traditions and customs, which reflects the mentality of people living there. However, hardly ever will we find a country without newcomers. Should they follow a local way of living or not is a dilemma to some people. Personally, I support the idea that new residents should live according to the rules of a hosting country. As the one old proverb says, in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Okay, interesting. Well, I like the fact that it's not your standard introduction with, you know, individuals who reside in nations other than their own must go along, where people just take the same word, just take the question and put different words in. So, however, I wrote a whole blog about needless to say, and undoubtedly, we'll see in the next paragraph. These are very dangerous connectors and openers to say. And particularly, I mean, you can only use them when they're completely true, and then they're pointless to say when the point is obvious. Okay, for example, needless to say, every country has its own traditions and customs. Absolutely, it's needless to say. So don't say it. Okay, so why is that there? If it's needless to say, don't say it. I see you are from Ukraine, um, which is a different country than most of the essays that I read, which is India and Pakistan. But uh, you would fit right in here in Myanmar. We read this. I read this all the time with my local students. You know, uh, every country in the world has its own traditions, and because my country is also a country, it too has its own traditions. Uh, this like obvious statement at the start doesn't make sense. Okay, needless to say, you don't need a comma here. Or needless to say, or if you do, don't put that in there. Needless to say, comma, every country, no, yeah, just get rid of that. Every country in a world? How many worlds are there? A world? In the world. Okay, and then, now, you do this several times. Uh, I won't, I would just go online and Google um, defining and non-defining relative clauses. Okay, what you've got here, this part with the which is called a relative clause, and you don't use a comma when it's a defining relative clause, which this one is. And note, Okay, its own traditions. Okay, and so this is plural, so you don't need the S there, which reflect the mentality. Well, we'll see if if you support that idea. The mentality is not the traditions and customs don't reflect the mentality of people. Yeah, not really. Of people living there. Oh, now you have forgotten article, the people. However, oh, you know, however is used after you have been discussing something for some time, and then you want to make a point that contrasts it. However rarely fits in the second sentence. Hardly ever, too informal, will we find a country without newcomers. Okay? We and us are not appropriate in an IELTS essay. Well, don't use them. Okay? Hardly ever um, will we find a country without newcomers. However, there are few countries without newcomers. There are, instead of we will find. Okay, whether or not, not should, whether or not they should follow the, not there's only one local way, the local way is a dilemma to some people. Is that in the question? Is it a dilemma? Hmm? That's not in the question. To some people, who? Personally, I support the idea. See, you're confusing a discuss both sides and give your own opinion. That's a type of IELTS question. It's very common, but that's not what this is. You're not asked to support one side or the other. Okay? Personally, I believe new residents should live according to the rules. Rules? Are customs and traditions rules of the hosting country, not the. Uh, don't use proverbs. Or if you do, make sure you get them right. Yeah, don't need one old, as the proverb says. Proverbs don't say. As it is said by people. Proverbs don't. Yeah. As the proverb goes. Okay. When in Rome, do. Wait. When in Rome, well, I actually don't know it either, but I know it's not that. Not in Rome, do as the Romans do. It's when in Rome, do as the Romans. Yeah, when. You just missed one word. Okay. Body paragraph one. All right. So I support. I don't even know what your idea is here. So here, so you agree. How strongly? You don't say to what extent. How personally, I strongly support. I moderately support, or not even support. I somewhat agree because you do only somewhat agree. Undoubtedly, again, don't use expressions like undoubtedly. The migration of people. See now, migration of people. Migration is a large group of people. Like what happened in here in Myanmar. Okay, you had a bunch of people migrate. Well, when 1 million people go to another country, that's a migration. Or birds, animals migrate. People emigration, or immigrate. Emigrate means going out. Immigration means coming in. Migration is something that animals do, or large numbers of people. Creates not the, to some extent, comma, when we're moving to another place, comma, we, again, don't use we, should not completely forget our traditions. Should not completely forget. Um, okay, it kind of goes against what you just said in the sentence before. Forget, no our. Unless they do contradict, not to, you don't need to there, contradict the local social norms. Can you give me an example of such a situation? This is something. What is something? Wait a minute. Something. This is something. Huh? What do you mean? The ones that are contradicting? This is very unclear. Which, not what, will be inherited by the new guy. Oh, a lot of examples. Okay, now here we go. When the people with diverse cultural backgrounds living in a particular area, huh, are known, huh? For instance, comma, London or New York. You can't just say that there is an example. Just look at London or New York, where there's many diverse cultural, where people from diverse cultural backgrounds live. Okay, well then you need to give an example of how they don't completely forget their traditions. Okay, a lot of examples. One example would be New York City, where the Irish people have maintained their heritage and hold a Irish parade every year. You don't know that, okay? Or maybe something closer to home. An example, you're in Ukraine, what could I say? I don't know. Where the Uzbeki horsemen still have their polo matches. I don't know. But something. You can't just say there is an example. All right. Nevertheless, what don't I like about this? It's because it follows an unclear argument. I need the newcomers. I think that newcomers need to respect local traditions and customs. Hmm? Huh? Okay, yeah. It's not countering what was said here. I think that newcomers need to respect local traditions and customs, and that this is a the crucial point in order to facilitate the social cohesion. This is blue because in coherence and cohesion, where'd you get that word? Uh, Cohesion means it's easy to understand. This is not easy to understand. Let me think about this. Okay, I think that newcomers need to respect local traditions and customs. Period. Let's just end it there. Okay, this is a crucial point in facilitating social cohesion. All right, that would be a grammatically correct sentence. And this needs supporting. Okay, so they need to respect local traditions in order to facilitate social cohesion. Um, Fragmented or broken societies with lots of groups living apart from one another causes disorder and animosity and violence. For example, look at Brussels, where there are places. Well, I won't. I know that sounds starting to get political there, but yeah, you need to support your ideas. You have an idea, but no, you don't support it. You go straight into moreover. If there's one word I hate more than any in IELTS, it's moreover, because 99% of the time it is not used correctly. Moreover is used to connect and when the second idea, the one that's following, is more important, not just more important, but also makes the first point unimportant because it's that important. Yeah? I don't have a car. Moreover, I don't know how to drive. It's like I don't know how to drive, so therefore, the fact that I don't have a car doesn't matter. So, do you use moreover correctly? Okay. Moreover, if the new residents follow social norms of the country where they have gone, it, what is it? Will bridge the social gap between them and the local people. No. See, this isn't. This is the support for the sentence before. So instead of moreover, you need to say, okay, yeah, uh, like I don't even want to say, for example, you don't even need it. You don't just get rid of it. Just say if, not the, but if new residents follow the social norms of the country where they have gone. This, not it, this will bridge okay, yeah, okay, all right, that's good. All right, that's not bad. But you see how hard it was for me to figure that out? Just because you used the word moreover. Because moreover has a particular meaning. And if you don't know how to use it, don't use it. As a result, comma, they will not feel separated from the social life. How about from society? The UK and Austria can be taken as a bright example. Well, there's two countries. How can they be a example? Can be taken as bright examples. Okay, once again, the UK and Austria, where immigrants can be taken. Yeah, a misplaced clause here. Where immigrants should or have to take a specific test about local values and traditions. Are we talking about a test or respecting and follow? What's the question about? Follow, not take a test. Do they follow? It's called an immigration test or citizenship test. Yeah? You don't explain it. You don't explain why it connects to the point. Hence, they are ought to. No, no. Ought to is a verb in and of itself. It's not an adjective. Just they ought to. No. They need to comply with all the traditions and social norms. All? Wait a minute. Just up here you said, right here, you said, yeah. People should not completely forget their traditions. But yet here they must comply with all the social norms. Well, I guess you said unless they contradict. Oh, social norms. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm wrong. Yeah, excuse me. Traditions and social norms. Social norms, right here. It says social norms. Social norms. Social norms. Social norms. Please report to Band 6, social norms. To conclude, I would like to assume, or nope, that doesn't mean what you think it means, that the respect and acceptance of traditions and social norms. Again, is that in the question? Is it in the question? Okay, no, it doesn't. Yeah. Okay, it's okay to say customs instead of saying social norms all the time. Another bad comma where not the person, but a person is going to live here. You don't need this comma. Can be beneficial. Where in the essay do you say anything about it being beneficial? You don't. And prevent from, no, you don't need from, not the, sense of alienation. Well, I suppose this vague reference to uh, people being, where is it? Oh, yeah, from the social life, society. I guess that's connected. But I really don't see anything about alienation. It has a specific meaning. Well, young lady from Ukraine, sorry to be so harsh, but I hope you were writing better than this before you were so confident.